Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Slay to Success Talk Show. My name is Rochelle Slay Queen Hemingway, CEO and founder of Slay to Success. Slay to Success advises and empowers women professionals, especially women veterans, to step up into their most authentic personal brand to gain lucrative opportunities, focusing on appearance, behaviors, communication skills, and your digital presence. I am a keynote speaker, a image consultant, a personal brand expert, an author of 4 books now, y'all, and a United States Air Force veteran of 30 years. This show specifically brings in men and women, and we're celebrating that they are living life on their own terms and using the slave philosophies to achieve success, to help and positively impact others. And slay means to kill it, to dominate it, and to nail it, to be on point, to impress greatly, to dream big and work hard until you own it. It is also an acronym, and it stands for Universal Life and Leadership Philosophies that resonate with me, and I know they resonate with you. And they all stand for Stay Ready to Be Ready, Lead Out Loud, a sense of community, a sense of family, and knowing you are built to last. And on this show, y'all, we talk specifically to leadership, wellness, mindset, personal branding, and business. And I bring in men and women who are just incredible. And so when I met our guest, I said, yes, ma'am, I need you to come on our show and to really give us some valuable information, if you will, to help us in our wellness journey. So if you are here tonight, all right, first of all, thank you for spending your time here in this space. And go ahead and put it in the comments who you are and where you're streaming in from so I can give you a proper shout out, okay? And if you have anything that you want to ask, all right? I've got a professional here. So if you have anything that you want to ask or anything that you want to share, so that way we can all learn and grow from it, please do not hesitate to put it into the comments. So tonight, y'all, I have Dr. Kimberly Walker, and she is a seasoned African-American woman with more than 30 years experience as a psychiatrist. All right. Now, as we all know, 30 years, 3 decades of doing one thing is absolutely phenomenal. All right. So she worked hard and she fulfilled what she felt was her calling to help relieve suffering. But fast forward to 2021, and we all know what happened in 2020, but fast forward to 2021, she suffered burnout during the COVID pandemic and knew she had to make a change, but she wasn't sure just how to do that. So she came across Rapid Transformational Therapy and thought it would be helpful for her patients. While becoming certified, she became aware of some of the messages she had internalized growing up Black in America. Despite education and qualifications, her life experiences had deposited some unconscious limiting beliefs. She found the RTT, which was the Rapid Transformational Therapy, experience liberating, resolving the limiting beliefs. Now, Dr. Walker is using RTT in her coaching practice and is committed to helping professional women of color who are stuck, blocked by hidden barriers to reach their unlimited potential. So I want y'all to give a round of applause, a big old welcome to our guest, Dr. Walker. Hi.
Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so glad you are here. I mean, what you offer and what you do is going to resonate with so many of our listeners today. So I just wanted to thank you for your time, for coming here onto the show so that way we can have an enriching conversation. So we met at the Business Women's Network of Howard County's luncheon, maybe like in October of November of last year, right? And we both had on these outfits that were almost similar. And then today, y'all, that we're not making this up. She showed up. She's got her printed top on. I've got on print today, and I was like, we're just like got the same type of energy when it comes to the dressing thing, right? So I knew I needed to have you here on the show. So please just share with the audience a little bit about Kimberly. All right, just who you are, kind of where you grew up from, and what have you done prior to you going in to become a psychiatrist?
Okay. Well, I am originally from Philadelphia,
Okay,
but I grew up in the suburbs, about an hour outside of Philadelphia in Bucks County. My
okay.
family moved because there was a lot of gang fighting in North Philadelphia, unfortunately. So,
Mm,
so we moved, and that's where I grew up. And that was a good spot for me to be in. But, as I had mentioned, as you mentioned in my bio, some limiting beliefs got deposited, which I will, refer to later.
yeah.
So a good upbringing. I always knew I wanted to be a doctor,
Mm,
and probably because my family had an African American doctor, and I'm sure that played a
uh-huh.
large role. You see somebody that looks like you say, okay, I can do that. So
Right.
I ended up going into psychiatry because I really enjoyed talking to the patients. So it is, you know, it's been a wonderful journey, but it has
Mhm.
also been challenging at times. So, I'm married, I have 2 children, and I live in Howard County. And, I'm just so pleased to be able to come here and share what's been going on.
Yeah. When you mentioned that you saw someone that looked like you and they were in the profession, you were like, I want to do that. It's so the thought of that, of seeing someone and believing that you too can get there, is so powerful, right? And it just needs to be a lot more of that. Um just just so that way we understand that there are people who are in the profession that we were seeking to go, even though it may feel daunting. So we have Chevy who's here. Good evening to you, Chevy. And then my Aunt Sadie, who is watching in too. So thank you, Aunt Sadie, for being here as well. So I know my background is medical. When I was in
Mhm,
service,
mhm,
and during the last few years of my career, there was a lot of intensity surrounding psychiatry, right? There was like the emphasis on mental health.
mhm,
People were not really taking it well, but I always was looking out for the caregivers, the providers that were
mhm,
actually seeing the patients because it was overwhelming,
mhm,
right? And so during your trans, you did it for 3 decades, which I like anything for 3 decades, especially being a psychiatrist.
mhm,
That is, that's some work right there.
mhm,
So, first, tell me what made you stay for that long?
mhm,
All right. And then as you transition and you went into another space, what exactly happened at that
mhm. Okay.
point?
So I actually still practice psychiatry. So I didn't
Okay.
leave, but I knew I
Okay.
had to cut back. When I got burned out, I really had to cut back. And I am still in it because I am committed to really trying to relieve suffering, really trying
Yeah.
to help folks, because it's rough out here. It
Yeah.
is it is really rough out here. And
Yeah.
I take insurance, and a lot of psychiatrists do not take insurance. So that is another level of commitment that I have. But
Mm,
in 2021, when I did get burned out, we're shut down. So I'm in my office with my iPad, looking at a screen, seeing patients day after day who are miserable. I mean, there was so much misery.
mm,
And I've treated children and adolescents, and they couldn't go to school, so
wow.
that social piece was taken away. So I mean, I ended up feeling rather hopeless myself.
Mm.
So, wondering, could I continue to be a psychiatrist? Could I continue to do this? And, when I ran across this rapid transformational therapy, I was assigned to do some research on some thought leaders, and Marissa Peer, who is the founder, is one of the thought leaders that I looked up. So I was looking at her stuff online on YouTube, and I said, you know what, this is amazing because RTT, rapid transformational therapy, it uses targeted hypnotherapy to get to the root cause of an issue.
Mm.
And it is called rapid because it really does work relatively quickly, because the subconscious mind, that's the part of the mind that we really access in hypnosis. The subconscious mind is ready for change.
Mm.
And the conscious mind is the logical mind. And that's the part that, it's trying to keep us safe.
Yeah.
It's the gatekeeper. So that part is resistant to change. So a lot of talk therapies use logic and use the conscious mind. So there's that resistance that, you're trying to break through week after week. So that's why a lot of talk therapies can take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But RTT, working with the subconscious mind, um, really makes some amazing changes. And, I can talk about that more later, but I wanted to at least get to
Yeah.
your question. Mm-hmm.
I am very interested into that, but I think one of the things that I'm really just curious about
Mm-hmm.
is, as you have been in this line of work,
Mm-hmm.
you have made a statement that you are only working with specific people for the RTT. Wouldn't
Well,
that
that's my target audience.
that
That
is
is
your
true.
target audience?
Yes, yes.
And I want you to share with us why.
Okay. So, as it turns out, when I had the RTT myself, and
Mm.
these limiting beliefs came up, some of them dealt with one of them, one of one of the scenes that I reviewed while in hypnosis took place when I was 8 or 9, and I'm sitting in my bedroom in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and
Mhm.
I realized that nobody thinks I'm beautiful. So my Black beauty was not celebrated in Bucks County. Now, did I get a good education? Did I have good friends? Yes. But there was this, feeling of I'm not enough. That was a limiting
Mm.
belief that I had. And when I did my beta testing for the coaching, I worked
Yeah.
with a number of African American professionals, specifically some psychiatrists. And we had very similar experiences dealing with racism in our training, or seeing
Mm.
our patients who dealt with racism. And those experiences really did deposit some beliefs that we weren't really aware of. So I really knew that the population of high achieving women of color, we've been under attack for a long time.
Mm.
So I knew that this modality could really free some folks up. So that is why I kind of made that my target audience.
Yeah.
Not that I won't work with anybody else, but that's
Right.
why. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, can you tell us too a little about the examples? I guess I just want to know the examples that you experienced while you were in your psychiatry work
Mm-hmm.
that prompted you to say, there's a serious issue here, and talking with your colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, can you think of some prime examples so that way you can give us a little bit more of a visual?
Mm-hmm. So, in my training, so during my psychiatry residency, so I had graduated from medical school and I
Mm,
was doing the psychiatry training. So I was on a rotation, probably in my third year, maybe my fourth year of my residency. So I'm in a rotation in the emergency room.
mm,
And a young African American male, probably late teenager, maybe early 20s, comes in, and as it turns out, he had Guillain-Barré syndrome. But at the
mhm,
time, we didn't know. We just knew that he was losing the ability to walk. He was losing strength in his lower body. And the attending who had talked about the workup and talked about the background, he made this comment. Well, he's a young Black male, so you have to definitely think about substance abuse.
mm.
Hmm. So we want to think about substance abuse for everybody. We
Yes,
always need to rule that out. But the fact
right.
that he was a young Black male, he made this comment. Now, he did not see me in the crowd,
Mhm.
around in the room. I doubt he would have said that had he seen me, but that's one example.
Yeah,
And we see in our patients, there's bias in medicine. There's bias in all these systems. There's bias. So this is something that we deal with day in and day out. And you only have so much power to deal with those things, especially when you're in training.
yeah,
So it definitely takes a toll.
yeah.
Hmm.
I asked you that because, I look back on my career and there were certainly a number of incidences and situations that I look back on now and go, "Really? Like, why did I have to deal with that? Why didn't my counterpart, who doesn't look like me,
Hmm.
not dealing with this? Why is it my issue, right?"
Hmm. Hmm.
And it does go back to there's the bias, there's the already assumptions, the stereotype of, what a Black woman can do in a
Hmm.
space.
Hmm.
And we have sacrificed a lot, especially when it has came to our careers.
Yeah.
So only imagining, because I was still in service when you were talking about 2021 is when you made the change and you found the RTT. um, that I found that I was at the cusp and I was in turmoil as well. It was a lot of pressure. There's a lot of expectations. It's almost as if you have to be the mouthpiece for everyone because of all the things that were going on.
Hmm.
So that when you're talking about RTT and really specializing in this type of work, specifically, for Black women is who your target audience is. Um, what kind of signs or symptoms would a woman be experiencing, if you will, that they would be a good candidate for
Hmm.
RTT?
Hmm. So when I think about candidates for RTT, it's often behaviors that you it's a behavior that is holding you back,
Mm,
and probably you have tried to do something about it,
yeah.
whether it's therapy or coaching, um, but there's still something there that you can't overcome. For instance, behaviors like perfectionism,
Mm,
um, procrastination, um, self-sabotage,
yeah.
inability to enforce boundaries, feeling like you have to do it all yourself. Now, the underlying limiting beliefs are going to be different, but sometimes I'm not enough, that limiting belief that we're not aware of, that can show up as overworking.
Mhm.
It can show up as perfectionism.
Yeah.
It can show up as self-sabotage, and
Yeah.
you're not aware of it, but because underneath it all, you feel like you're not enough, you might mess something up so that that chance, that opportunity is taken away from you. So again, it's not in your consciousness. So it can be very frustrating, and we as, especially Black women, we're taught you put your head down
Yep.
and you get it done.
Get it done.
Okay. And the fact that we keep trying to get it done can really work against us because, we may wear ourselves out trying to get it done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that those types of disempowering beliefs, they occur for us a lot. And I do recall a time for me when I didn't think I was enough after I transitioned from the military because I didn't know what I was doing. It was new, it was unfamiliar, all these things. And I felt like I needed a system, to hold me together and to get through, right? And so it's just like, whoo, I've had to find a way to kind of move through that. But I know many times that I have friends or peers who are still in this way of thinking, man, there's no way out. I just don't know. I can't get past this incident that occurred, and it may have occurred 10, 15, 20 years ago. Right? And so we have several comments here. Chevy says it's so sad that the people who should not look at color when caring for people put their biases on us Black people. Absolutely. And unfortunately, because we both have been in this, the medical, it occurs. It's happening. Right. So, what do we need to do? We need to advocate for ourselves, more. And Donnell, thank you, Donnell, for being here tonight here on the show. He said, preach, speak, Dr. Walker. Okay. And he says a system is the cheat code. So, it's so interesting for me to know that you can provide this type of treatment, and like I've never been put under, if you will, right? And so I know that in our cultural, and I'll say our cultural,
Right.
we oftentimes think that that's for everybody else. That is not for us. So how is your approach? What do you share with them to allow them to see that they can benefit from the treatment?
So I explained hypnosis. And hypnosis, it's not stage hypnosis. It's not, what we see in the media. So hypnosis is just very deep relaxation. And you are able to concentrate in this state and you remain in control. You're not giving your will over to somebody else.
Nice.
Which is a fear. That's a fear.
Right. Yeah.
And we agree ahead of time what we're going to work on. So it is all explained very carefully. And I have the client practice going into hypnosis. And it really is a very quick process. You can go into hypnosis in 3 to 4 minutes. And so I really walk them through it. And I give them a recording, a relaxation recording, so they can practice. Because hypnosis is really, you're hypnotizing yourself. That's really what it is. I walk you through a sequence, but it is all self-directed. So I really try to explain it in a way that puts folks at ease. And I'm a medical professional, mental health professional, and I don't stop being a mental health professional just because I may be doing coaching. So I want people to be comfortable with the process. But it's very powerful to help folks. I mean, and we can use hypnosis for lots of stuff, stop smoking, fear of flying, many unwanted habits. So it's a powerful, powerful tool.
Yeah. I've never been, like I said before, put under or anything like that. And it's kind of reassuring that you could put yourself under if you wanted to, right?
Right.
And practice, some deep relaxation. And, I'm taking a deep breath in and out,
Mhm.
trying to really settle your mind and get into a state where you can actually recall items, in
Mhm.
the moment.
Mhm.
And so for me, and I'll just share with everybody, because y'all, how transparent I am about, what I do, what has occurred in my life.
Mhm.
Um, I do sit on some conversations. It's almost like the replay, okay?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
I could have said this, I should have said that. This decision that I made here, it created a whole ball of effect. There was like secondary and tertiary effects that I had no idea that they were even going to come.
Mhm.
And in such a way where, I was performing at a very high level and I was doing exceptionally well, but what I used to do was kind of tear myself down on, you know, you're better than that. And then started to believe what they were saying,
Mm.
and it was like, why do you think that they're right and you're wrong?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
questioning yourself all the
Mhm.
time. And
Mhm.
I think, again, when you're a woman in leadership, period, then you're a woman in leadership of color. That is a whole nother dynamic that
Yeah.
no one really talks about or sets back to look in,
Mhm.
because society has said, you know, hey, you asked for it, right?
Mhm.
You're in
Yeah.
the leadership seat,
Mhm.
so this comes with it, right?
Mhm.
So having a tool, because I think that what you're offering is a tool,
Mhm.
and so is this like a one-time thing?
Mhm.
Is it continuous, or how does that work?
Mhm. So I typically have found that a 3 session package seems to work for a lot of issues. And when I say 3 sessions, I'm referring to 3 RTT sessions, but prior to the RTT session, we do an intake. So we get a very thorough background of the issue that the client wants to work on. So
Mhm.
typically we'll do an intake, and then a week later we will do the RTT session, which is 90 minutes to 2 hours. So
Oh,
it's very long, and because the hypnosis doesn't take long to go into it, it gives us lots of time to do the work,
yeah,
to work through the limiting belief and resolve it.
yeah.
And a transformation recording is made with the positive suggestions that come out of the session that the client listens to daily for at least 21 days. And that helps to rewire the thinking. So that's another thing that is so powerful about RTT. So we do that 3 times, the intake and the RTT session. And that takes care of a good chunk of stuff.
So this positive transformation, look, I'm already in. I'm like, listen, y'all, when she says the transformation and the work afterwards, like, I'm big into, positive affirmations. Because I feel like that is one of the ways that you can overcome,
Hmm.
some of the things that we think about. So,
Hmm.
like, what exactly is it that they're listening to? Like, what kind of, like, give us an example what they would be rewiring.
Okay. So let's say that someone wants to work on, I had a client who was kind of reluctant to do some public speaking.
Mm,
Okay, so that was something she wanted to work on. Why she is so reluctant to speak, why she's so scared to speak.
mm,
So one of the scenes that actually she reviewed during hypnosis, it was something that was actually very innocent. As a child, she asked for, I don't know, something sweet and sugary for breakfast from the babysitter. And the
okay.
babysitter said, no, we don't eat that for breakfast. And so I don't know if the babysitter said it harshly, but as a little girl, she internalized, ooh, I'm bad. I made a
Mm,
mistake, because she asked for the sugary cereal. And although it was something rather innocent, that actually affected her. So it kind of made her reluctant to speak. It made her reluctant to kind of show up. Something as innocent as that, which she had forgotten all about, but that was
Right.
affecting her adult life. So some of the phrases that we would use in the transformation recording, you have a message. You are enough. You are powerful. You so things that really kind of reversing what came out of the scene. Okay, you are doing the right thing, but it's all very personalized to the client, to the
Yeah.
scenes that are reviewed. So
Yeah.
that's what makes it powerful, because it's individualized for them.
Yeah.
So
I think that is absolutely incredible
mhm,
because I've never heard of that, of putting, recording so that they can listen
mhm,
and be able to just hear and say it to themselves or out
mhm,
loud, so
mhm,
that way that can move them into a different way of thinking about showing up. And
mhm,
I think too, we have all been in situations where we had to shrink ourselves, or we felt like we had to play small, or
mhm.
we were just
Too much.
too
Mhm,
much, all
mhm,
right, of
mhm,
whatever it is.
mhm,
And so that then said, okay, my voice, my value, it's not good,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
I just don't have it in me
mhm,
anymore.
mhm,
And so having this tool that you're providing to your clients is actually, it's like so innovative. I think it's innovative, especially, and it's relevant to what
mhm,
is happening in real time with so many women of color who are in these high leadership roles or positions, who are trying their best to either put a footing into their career or to their
mhm,
business,
mhm,
and really need that extra, help or encouragement that they can do this. And
mhm,
it's proven, right? It's
mhm, mhm,
scientifically proven that these types of therapy can work for you.
mhm, mhm.
So I really appreciate you sharing and doing what you're doing. Hello, Leslie. How you doing, madam? Questions or comments or whatever that you have, please make sure that you include them. Thank you for being here. Um, so as we were talking about, you know, um, therapy and finding tools and really adjusting to where you're at and what you're working towards, there's got to be a certain mindset, right? I'm
Mhm,
always interested in the mindset.
mhm,
Um, and if you start in a mindset where you're feeling like you're not able to do certain things, it can leave you in a place where you'll never ever really get away, get to a point where you want to go.
mhm,
So I'm big on like, hey, like let's get this done. I've always been that type of person, but when you get in the military, it's just really like
yeah.
it's like explosive of, okay, we're gonna get this done, we're gonna do this, this is the plan, here's the options, and so forth and so on. And I've really had to like pull back, because I was finding I was in that same type of energy.
Mhm,
So I had to shift my mindset on a lot of the things. So have you shifted your mindset in a way? And I know you have, but tell us in some ways that you've shifted, when you shifted from, or just, you're seeing your patients to offering this therapy. What kind of shift did you have in your mindset?
mhm.
Because you were burnt out. Okay. So, you know, some people could stay in burnout for a long time and never
Mhm,
really recover from that. So
mhm,
what is it that you've been doing, or what do you listen to? How do you put yourself in the right position to have the best mindset you can possibly have?
okay. And I do wanna say something about the burnout. I would have been burned out even had COVID not come along, because I
Mm.
really was working too hard. I had been working
Oh,
too hard before COVID. And I think that was due to the I'm not enough
yep.
uh, limiting belief that I wasn't aware that I had, because nobody could have told me that I felt like I wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
But so, burnout, burnout, in a way it can be a gift.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are able to stop and then do something about it.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, I am still on the journey of making the shift into entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
because it's such a change from, my psychiatry practice. The patients came to me. I
Yeah.
had a website. I'm on insurance panels. So I have to constantly remind myself that what I am doing is very important.
Mm-hmm.
I have to show up so that folks can see who I am and see what I'm doing, because I'm really a very private person. So the idea of, you know, being on social media and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
that has been a challenge for me. So I have to continually tell myself, I have a purpose. This is
Mm-hmm.
important work,
Yeah.
and people need to know about it. So I have to continually tell myself that.
Yeah. Well, we both are continually telling ourselves that, right? Because it is a shift. If you have never been an entrepreneur before and you were doing something for a very long time, both were in a profession for 30 years of doing whatever we were doing,
Mhm,
and now we're having to, get out here, tell people what we do, how we do it, and you have to do it on repeat, like every day, all day. The reason why you're doing it has to be so strong. You have to be so rooted into what it is that you're doing.
mhm,
And so, shifting from that mindset, and I used to have to work through it every day too, of, hey, I was in there doing this for a very long time. Now I'm doing this, and it's a little bit different how
mhm,
you approach it, right? So, an entrepreneur in a journey in your space is really about finding the right people, right?
mhm,
Who would appreciate the service that you provide, who need your service, right?
mhm,
So, as you all listening, I know that you all have connections and, seeing how that she can best fit into our communities that we all have. So that way we're getting the help and the support that they are needing to do. Because for me, I'm at a point in my life where I mentor a lot. I do a lot of like support with women who are still in the uniform.
mhm,
And I'm like, I need you to be at the table. I need you to maintain your seat at the table.
mhm,
All right. Leadership is hard. Yes. And leadership is going to be hard for you,
mhm,
extra hard. But maintaining your seat, but having a tool to where, the therapy that they're seeking right now is not quite working for them. And
mhm.
having rapid transformational therapy, is such a great tool. I never heard of it before, but now I know it. All right. So, as you continue to put yourself out there, right? And getting people to know you, and you've been into your entrepreneurial journey for a little bit. Like, what are your lessons learned? Because I've got several entrepreneurs here that are live here on our audience, in our audience, and and allowing us to see, like exactly how you've been able to get where you're at right now. So, like, what were some of the major challenges and hurdles that you had when you started?
So I would say that a major challenge that I continue to work through is, I need to remember that there are certain tasks that I need to pay people to do
Uh-huh.
that I should not try to do myself. And, and I tried to do it for a really long time because, strong work ethic, and trying to save money.
Yeah.
but,
Oh, yeah.
but, spinning my wheels, wasting time. So for instance, I was not good at posting on social media.
Yeah.
So now I have a social media manager so
Yeah.
that they're posting regularly for me. So that's an important lesson, that you need to figure out what is your zone of genius
Mm-hmm.
and do your best to stay there, and don't do stuff that you're not good at, because it's just a waste. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest lesson for me.
Yeah. I think that's a big lesson for a lot of people,
Mhm.
because social media is always constantly changing. And, I know one of the things that I learned is just to focus on one thing. And Donnell is here, and so he can speak to this all day too, but to focus on the one platform. All right.
Mhm.
And do
Mhm.
that very well and get in
Mhm.
there and really let folks know like what you are and stick to the messaging. I think that is, a piece of advice that I got when I
Mhm.
started, and it's been very helpful
Mhm.
as you grow your business. And the other one is, of course, we talk about personal branding a little bit here, y'all,
Right,
because I
right.
think that we have all this expertise, skills, knowledge. You clearly, okay, 30 years of psychiatry work and now becoming an entrepreneur, have so much that you can offer and you can talk about until the cows come home. Okay. And it's like, I feel like those stories, those experiences should be highlighted more and more and more, because people really get to know you. They begin to trust you. You build a credibility and an authority in your particular space, because
Mhm.
there's a lot of people in our lines of work. It's all a matter of, does your voice, does your technique, the way that you talk about, your ideas, are those in parallel with the client?
Mhm.
Because I can go to Chick-fil-A, okay, or Burger King or McDonald's or whatever, because they're all in the same vicinity, right? But I get to choose. I get to choose which one I want.
Mhm.
And so that's really kind of what happens in business too. So, um, getting yourself, to a position where you can really help and support the people that are your target is really beneficial.
Mhm.
Um, so as we've been in this conversation for sure, your goals, okay, for 2025. I know we've all made some goals and maybe some resolutions and that kind of thing. Like, where do you see yourself? And what are some of the goals that you have in the RTT space?
That's a really good question. I think that I want to really establish myself as a thought leader,
Yeah,
talking more about RTT. I need to do some public speaking. I've done some podcasts, but I need to get out there and do some public speaking. So that is a goal of mine. I I may want to write a book. I don't know that that's going to happen in 2025, but you know, the main thing is I've got to get out here more so that
yeah,
folks really know what this is about, and can get some help with their limiting beliefs.
yeah. Which is always going to be a challenge for us. Limited beliefs. Um, I know there's like 1,001 negative thoughts to one positive thought.
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know what quite the number that
Hmm.
statistically
Yeah.
is out there, but to override a negative thought,
Hmm.
it takes a lot,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And sometimes, again, you just don't get there because you're just like, there's a lot and I don't want to deal with them. But
Hmm.
having a way to kind of like take it out of their mind and, put it somewhere else. But so if they're not, if they're not, um, if they can't have access, if you will, to RTT, what are some of the ways that someone can help with their limiting beliefs? Like, what kind of techniques
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
have you walked your patients or your clients through?
Mm-hmm. So there are limiting beliefs that we're aware of, and there are some limiting beliefs that we may not be aware of. Okay, so those deeper ones, they are tough to deal with on your own. So the ones that you are aware of, so let's say that that uh that you've got this perfectionistic streak. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so some of it is thinking about why why do you feel like you need to be perfect, and challenging that notion, because people are not perfect. We cannot be perfect. So thinking about, maybe journaling about what are the situations that come up that you're tempted to try to engage in perfectionism. Look at patterns, look at your family. Is this a
Mm.
behavior that you saw played out in your family? So really try to analyze and think about, where does this come from, and try to challenge it. Okay, because perfectionism, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. And can you do a good job? Can you do a good enough job to
Mm.
get stuff done? So I think journaling can be helpful. Just kind of sitting, meditating on what is going on in your life.
Yeah.
Quiet time, take time to be quiet. And if you just want to kind of breathe in and out slowly and try to calm your mind,
Yeah.
so that you can start to think about some of these behaviors that you want to work on. Those are some ways I would say to
Yeah.
start working on the limiting beliefs that you're aware of.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that. And the part about look at your family. Because sometimes we don't see that they've already made this blueprint for us, and
Mm-hmm.
that we have just been in that mode of we've got to be better. We've got to make sure our I's are dotted, our T's are crossed.
Mm-hmm.
We got to make sure we're saying the right words. And it does lead to I've got to make sure everything is right.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been one of the things that I've had to challenge myself with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you
Mm-hmm.
are not perfect. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to get A plus 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 on all the things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though
Mm-hmm.
that's what I strive for, because we say we strive for excellence.
Sure.
And but not exactly getting to a point where you have to like overanalyze, and then you get stuck in I just don't know how to move past this because it's not perfect. I think the other thing that I also realized is that I have been getting it to 80%. All right, things that I have to complete where I know I can't get it all done, but can I get it to at least 80? All right, and help, and somebody else can help me get it to, the rest of that 20. So that way I don't put a lot of pressure on myself to get all the work completed all the time.
Right.
Jay, thank you, Queen, for being here. And thank you for reading the book. Yes, it will definitely help in your journey. And I wrote it to inspire and encourage, especially women who are in uniform. So thank you for your service, Queen. Precious, thank you so much for being here. Precious is also on the show. I've got several people who are on the show already, so I hope You're doing well, Precious. And Leslie says, think about writing your book. It is the foundation of all the other avenues to showcase your expertise.
She's
You know,
right.
she is right. She actually does that for a living. She helps,
Mm.
well, she has another role, but she does this for her business, is she helps women to write their books.
Mm.
So yeah, she's definitely a believer in making sure that you write one. And then Vanity says yes. Hey Queen, how you doing tonight? Also a woman in uniform, and she said 80 is good. Yes, it is.
Mhm.
All right. So, talking about limiting beliefs and, how we think, how we operate, looking at our family for those dynamics, those behaviors that may have been our blueprint for how we perform in our adult life is so important to do.
Mhm.
And trying to break the chain, so breaking the chain and these habits, it's hard.
Yes.
It's a very hard thing to do.
Yes.
And I think that's why a lot of times we just default to what we know,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know? So defaulting to what we know can probably manifest in so many other different ways, right?
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, it can keep us stuck, you know? One thing I want to also mention is if you can have an accountability partner,
Yeah.
that can help. You can bounce ideas off of each other, and when someone else kind of points something out to you, sometimes it makes it easier to make a change in your behavior. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
And I like the fact that you say, someone who can help. For me, I'm like, it's got to be the right person, because so
Right,
then we got folks that be agreeing with us and be like, girl, you good. You good. No, they didn't know what they were talking about. And knowing good enough, well, you're probably out of line. Okay. And you probably need to be checked. And so it has to be somebody who loves you and can give you some candid feedback, but
right.
from a good place, from a good
Mhm,
heart. All
mhm.
right. And also knowing that the behaviors are being addressed, and it's not the person. And I think that's the other thing that I learned a
Mm,
lot in service is these are behaviors.
mhm,
All right.
mhm.
And knowing that they got them from somewhere.
Right,
They're not just popping up for no reason. And so when you're looking to try to correct the behavior, you have to correct the behavior, not the person. Um, yeah,
that's challenging though. Whew.
it is very challenging. That's why leadership is hard, y'all. So
Mhm.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Um, So we're coming up on the hour here. So
Mhm.
what would you like to share with the audience before we jump off for tonight's session?
I think I just wanna share that, as we move through our life's journey, we always have an opportunity to make a change.
Mm,
Every day that you wake up is another opportunity to, if you weren't pleased about how the day before went, you can work on it the next day, and we should give ourselves grace.
mm. So when you
And
wait, Kimberly, before you say that, I'm struggling a little bit on grace. Okay.
mm,
What do you mean by giving yourself grace? I want to know what your perspective is on that.
my perspective is to forgive myself if something didn't go the way I really wanted it to go. Uh, we're going to make mistakes,
Hmm.
and I think it's easy to beat yourself up, especially if you have a high standard. So
Yes.
just realize that, again, there is no perfection. So, you know, give yourself permission to work on it again. And
Mm.
any small change, any small positive change is important. So that's what I mean by giving yourself grace.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to start to ask that a lot because it's different for other people. You know, everybody's
Mhm,
got their definition
mhm,
of give yourself grace. In fact, Kenji, hey Kenji, um, I'm so glad you're here. All
mm,
right, because she says, okay, now 3 times today, I have heard give yourself grace.
mm.
You know what I mean? And so she says she loves your response on what it means. Because I think
Awesome.
too that when we put it into context that fits for what we are trying to do, when because yeah, people are going to say this all day, you know, but what does it truly mean for you?
Mhm,
That's what's going to actually help when it's time for you to give yourself grace. And
mhm,
you're saying forgive yourself and
mhm,
not, you know, beat yourself up when you make mistakes. You know,
mhm,
try again. You get an opportunity to try again,
mhm,
right?
mhm. Yeah.
So absolutely love that.
Mhm.
So what I'm sorry, you know, I interrupted you in midstream on that.
That's okay.
So what else would you share with us? Give yourself grace.
Um, I think just and learn from mistakes.
Mm,
Failure, failure is kind of a dirty word, but
yeah,
if you aren't failing, then you aren't growing, you aren't doing new things because nobody comes out of the womb able to do everything. So
nope.
just be ready to learn from what didn't go right. So that's a lesson that I am continually learning.
Where you're growing then. You got
Yes.
it. All right. You're growing, you're learning, you're expanding, you know, all the things. So we're in the
Yeah.
same boat. It's in the same boat. Okay. You know, my last question, I ask this of every guest. And I ask because, you know, we're all working towards, you know, building our legacy, like really truly leaving behind something for someone or someone's to pick up after we leave, because we're all not promised, you know,
Mhm.
longevity in the world,
Mhm.
of course,
Mhm.
right? Um, Ariel says, facts. Failure can be one of life's greatest teachers.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And thank you for being here. Got another doctor in the house. There's a lot of doctors. Okay. So, you know, I
Okay.
love doctors in the house. So thank you, Dr. Jordan, for being here. She just um, she completed her degree, her doctor's degree. And so she's getting used to
Oh,
saying doctor.
congratulations.
Um, but you know, if God gives us the days to our 80th birthday, which is what I'm hoping for, what
Mhm.
would you want your family and friends to say about you?
Hmm. So I want my family especially to know that I made this pivot, in my 60s, and
Mm,
I built this business and that I am helping people. And I really want my children to be able to see this, because I just think it's so important for us to I want us to, really look at generational wealth. I
mm-hmm.
want us to look at doing things um, that are going to help our community.
Yeah.
So I would say that's what I want.
Yeah. Well, you've pretty much in a nutshell said, and without saying it, so I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, is it's never too late.
Oh
Okay. It's
no.
never too late to
Mm-mm.
decide that you want to start something, that you want to pivot to something else, or even try something new, or pick up something that you left, years ago, and decided, hey, now is the time that I'm going to go ahead and work this, because you got a little bit more juice, all right, or a little bit more gas left in the tank. And it is a representation or a message that you're conveying not only to yourself, but to your family and your loved ones, that this is something we all can do. This is something that you, when you decide to go out on your own and start something and build something, you're not building from scratch. You're building from experience, expertise, and skills. So I congratulate you and applaud you for doing this type of work, because this work is needed. All right. It will create positive impact and positive returns to our community. And so I thank you for setting out on the course as you think that it's on this, this journey, this path of really helping us to see that this is something that we can use, and it's available and we have access to. I
Well,
wish
thank you.
generational healing on all of us.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Amen. Amen.
Absolutely. Amen. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, this looks like, the end of our conversation, but I absolutely love that you are here. And for our guest, I want to shout you out before we leave. So Chevy, Aunt Sadie, Donnell, Leslie, Precious, Jay, Vanity, Kenji, Ariel. Thank you all for being here with us tonight and really spending the time here to learn about what Dr. Walker is providing, which is RTT, Rapid Transformational Therapy. And share. Okay, do not be shy about these shares. Go ahead and get this out to your community. Let them know that this service is available. She's here in Howard County. If you're in Maryland, I'm sure if you pick up the phone or DM her, that you can find her and have a conversation with her on what it is that you may be potentially going through and how she can support you. All right. So where can they find you, Dr. Walker?
Okay, so I'm on Facebook,
Okay.
Kimberly Walker. I am on LinkedIn, Kimberly C. Walker, MD. I'm supposed to be on Instagram. I'm not on there that much, but
That's okay.
Probably
You on our
Facebook is
list
the
too.
best place to find me.
Okay, y'all. She's on Facebook, so go ahead and find her through Facebook to talk to her about whether or not you got another podcast. A lot of us got podcasts that come on here, or whether here's an opportunity. All right. So again, thank you for being here. And next Sunday, y'all, I have another Slay Amazing guest. We will be back here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you can find me this Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Rise and Slay morning show. Okay. So keep on slaying until you can't slay no more. And we will see you all very soon. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Have a great week, y'all.